Book 97 of 2019 was Paris for One by Jojo Moyes. So I got bought this book by a friend for Christmas or birthday, can't quite remember which. And I thought, looking at the picture on the front, that it was going to be about Louise Clark, and it was going to be kind of like after Me Before You had happened. Really enjoyed Me Before You, thought it was great, really invested in the character. Unfortunately, these collections of short stories weren't of the same calibre of that at all. Like, it just wasn't any comparison. And actually, there's an insight in the back of one of the series of that book. There's like a chapter of it, which is what I'm assuming is why there's a picture of it on there. I don't quite know. And she writes that Louisa character a lot better than what she did in these ones. It almost feels like these short stories were written before she wrote that novel, and so these aren't as good. These are kind of like her practice stories before she actually wrote the novel. That's what it kind of felt like. They're basically short stories that are all written about like fictional characters in Paris. They're mildly entertaining. I enjoyed reading some of them, but they were kind of like not very realistic characters. It kind of was very repetitive as well, because they're all in Paris, they're all kind of doing similar things, and she likes the same kind of names. She calls the characters similar names, and so that's why I wondered whether these were a collection of what she'd written before she, wrote more extensive pieces. Like maybe they wanted another book out of her, and she thought, oh, I'll just stick all these old stories together, and then in actual fact, I think it might have said actually that they'd been published elsewhere. I don't know if I've made that up. I'm sure maybe it was like they were published elsewhere and she put them all together maybe. I don't know if that's right or not, whether I've made that up or not, but that would kind of explain it. But even still, like, it was a bit like you'd maybe edit them and make them better before you publish them, like, I would think. But I guess the people that she's publishing for are not exactly like literary critics, are they? Like, the kind of the mass market that just will lap up any romantic rubbish. It found me wondering. That's such an odd way of saying it. I started questioning as I was reading it about Jojo Moyes' own romantic experiences of kind of like relationships and things, because every single one that she presents is very, very idealised and very kind of like, or things aren't going great in your life, so just go abroad and meet a man who's perfect for you. Like that would ever happen. Like, I'm sure it does happen to some people, but come on, it's not the given, is it? Like, that's gonna happen. And so yeah, I was just a bit like, yeah, it's not very realistic. And even like, I did actually like that she'd done a story about people like in the past as well, and incorporated that into like a painting, which I thought was quite a nice touch. But then that story, the woman that was in that one was a bit annoying, and yeah, a lot of like there's one story about a woman who's seeing this guy, and this guy is an absolute loser, and her friends are like almost like kind of making this guy, like, basically what happens is she books these. I'm gonna read it for you, but I just feel like I need to explain it, because otherwise I'm what am I saying it for? She gets these kind of like 2 tickets to go to Paris, and then he just randomly just doesn't go with her, and so her friends are really mad, and then get him on a plane and get him to go to meet her. And obviously she's met some a hunky guy in Paris who's now going to become a husband, because that's just how life goes, isn't it? But it was just like, why are her friends like making him go to her when he's just literally left her in the lurch and not gone? Like, they're not friends. Like one of the friends should have gone and met her in Paris and spent the time with her. Like, it was just a bit weird. I just thought that's not how real life goes. So yeah, I mean, if you like this kind of stuff, then probably read it. But for me, it was a bit underwhelming. Like I said, it was mildly entertaining, but it's not something that I would go out and read again. And I wouldn't read any more of Jojo Moyes, even though I did like Me Before You. I think it would be kind of similar, like want to spew in a bucket kind of like fiction.